talked a little bit about more with less at our banquet, but we're going to start the year off with what God has for us. And I was thinking a little bit about 2017 this weekend and how much it counted, how much it mattered. You know, New Year's, you kind of usher in a new year, you say goodbye to the old year, and it can just kind of keep rolling along as life does. And you can sometimes kind of just get lost in life, but I think when New Year's happens, it's like, wow, another year already. And it's just a good time to stop and reflect and think back over the year and what you want to accomplish this year. And that's why there's New Year's resolutions, which I haven't made any. I think maybe binging on TV shows more. No, I'm joking. Trying to come up with something that I know I can't fail at. But I probably would fail at that one because watching TV is not very high on my priorities. But I think that's where that comes from, because it's like a reset. Like, oh man, I really want to do something good with my life, and I really want to make this year count. Well, I want to say, I think at Defense Experts, we made 2017 count. And as we look back, I think it was a good year. We put in hard work. We did some hard things. We were thinking long-term, not short-term. And I think when we look back, we can be happy and proud of what we did in 2017. So I think that's what makes a successful year, putting in the hard work throughout the year and realizing how much each day affects the future. And we've talked about that, how today is connected with the future. Today connects with tomorrow. So looking ahead, I don't want us to forget what God has called us to this year. So I think the beginning of this year, I'm going to be talking about more with less. And I sat down with God yesterday morning and I was like, God, what do you have for us with more with less? Because I never quite understood when he said that to the full extent what it is. So I felt like God really spoke to me yesterday, so I'm pretty excited about what he has for us this year. I think this year is going to be even better than last year. And I also talked about this at the banquet, but the neat thing is what we built last year, we're going to continue to build, and we're adding something new. So just because growing ourselves or building ourselves and building others was the way we were supposed to operate last year doesn't mean we quit doing that. So this kind of adds to it. I want us to think about more with less in the context of resources are limited. There's a certain amount of resources that we have, and I have down there, more always requires less somewhere else. That is a rule that is true that I almost always want to forget. I think I can give more everywhere and not have to give less anywhere. Does that make sense? Like, I think I can do more of this and more of that and more of this other thing, and before I know it, I'm burned out, I'm tired, I'm not getting enough sleep because I'm getting less sleep, I'm getting less personal time, I'm getting less time with Sarah. All these things, where you put more, it requires less somewhere else. I know we know that, but it's like the foundation. If you're like me, you forget it way too many times. So you got to remember this. More always requires less somewhere else. So today I'm going to just talk about two things. The formula for more with less, and then we're going to talk about more with less. Pretty basic. So formula is investing where it counts is the only way to achieve more with less. So you have to be very careful with where you invest your time, your resources, because if you're investing them in the wrong place, you're not going to get a good return. And if you want to do more with less, you got to put your time and your resources in the right place. So you need to be able to say no to bad investments so you can say yes to good investments, because resources are limited. Kind of back to the thing I was talking about earlier. So investing where it counts is as much about saying no so you can say a good yes. That's kind of where you have to start. You have to say no so you can clear the clutter, so you can create space to say yes to the things you must. So I'm a yes person. It's one of my weaknesses, probably one of the bigger weaknesses that I have fought with over my lifetime. And because of being a yes person, is the reason I married Sarah, because she told me I need to learn how to say no, and I was like, I like a girl who can tell me truth. So it's one of the things in my life. I like pleasing people. I like saying yes. So where it starts for me is I got to learn to say no. So I can say yes to good investments because resources are limited. So if we can think of it that way, where we have to learn to say no so we can say good yes. Don't be afraid to say no when you need to. Resources are limited. So more with less. I think this is what God has for us this year. I was thinking through these things and looking at where I think we can grow as a company. So this is how you do more with less. You cannot do more and more. So invest in more of this and less of this. More focus means you're going to be less distracted. You can't be more focused and more distracted. Duh. More efficient, less wasted time. More thoughtful investing, less mindless spending. More detailed, less forgetful. More resourceful, less wasteful. More communication, less commiseration. More of a team, less of a skeptic. More thinking makes less mistakes. More influence on others means I got to be less focused on myself, on ourselves. More intentional choices, less passive reactions. More training and learning, less trying on our own. More responsibility, less excuses. So you see how to do more of the one, you have to do less of the other. It's just how it works. And so I feel like we're doing really good at all these because what we focused on last year was growing ourselves. But I think we're going to move into more of what God has for us, more of these things and less of the other things. So I'm really excited about this year because I think that is how we're going to grow ourselves. It's going to be a bit more specific this year. And I'm happy and excited for what God has for us because I think it's just another building block. It's just another step this year that God has for us. So it's very simple, very, very simple. More with less. We're going to do more of this and less of this other thing. And like I said, I think we have made amazing strides. I don't feel like we're a very unhealthy group of people here. So I don't want you to feel discouraged when I have this list here. But it's just, let's move into some of these things. For me, I need to say more no's so I can say better yeses. Whatever it is that you personally need to learn to do less of so you can do more of something, that's what we're going to work on this year. So pretty excited about more with less. The ability to invest where it counts is a result of saying no where you need to so we can say yes where we must. Again, very, very simple. Good returns are no accident. They are a direct result of choosing to do more with less. So you can think about it with hours in a day. You can think about it with money as a limited resource, energy, all these things. I think we tend to think we have unlimited energy, but we don't. But if you think of hours, and if you say, I'm going to work 12 hours a day, and then I'm going to go to the gym for another 3, and I'm going to, spend 4 hours with my family, whatever. I'm just trying to make this thing blow up so there's no sleep for you. But time is limited. You have to work with 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. So that's why I want us to think, we can see that with our time. Let's think about that with our energy, with our life, with what we're doing. If we're doing something over here, it's meaning that we can't do something over here. So if we're doing something unhealthy, it means we can't do something healthy. If I'm very distracted, it means that I'm not focused. You can't do both. So start thinking that way. We're going to focus on this week. I think I'm going to go down, or this year, I think I'm going to go down through and just kind of focus on several of them at the beginning of this year. But that's how I want us to start thinking as people here in this company. What can I do less of so I can do more of this? What am I doing more of that I should be doing less of so I can do something healthy, something good? Resources are limited. Let's be very intentional with where we put our energy. And that is, I think, what God has for us this year, more with less.